Hello everyone and welcome to week 24 of the Gran Turismo weekly race guide, and it's one of those again moments. We're at Fuji first of all, if you can't tell in the background, and we've done this exact same combo a couple of times now. We are in the Porsches. Let's have a look at the race details first of all. We're racing 4 laps here at Fuji. It's a grid start, so you will need traction control. We are on sport soft tyres. Now, in terms of the cars, of course, as we know from previously, the RS 95 car, the tail happy car, is the fastest here. However, it's very hard to drive. Now, if you want to see a guide at Fuji with that, please check out a previous week's guide. I'll put it in the description below. Because I'm jumping in the 911 GT3 from 2009. A little easier to drive. I think you guys would prefer that as well. And I figured, because I've done this race a couple of times now, why not drive that car and actually experience the race from a different perspective? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm jumping in that Porsche 911 and we're going straight to Fuji. Here we are then at the start of the grid. And as you can see, nobody picked Drifty Boy. Everybody picked the 911 GT3, and that's because it's more stable, much easier to race with. Well, I assume that's the case anyway. And that's why we went with it. Because the Carrera RS CS95 was the top car at the time. Let's say we're going for balance here. So traction control on 1 for the start. Foot to the floor. Off you go. Turn it off and fire away. Now, you just saw my brake balance there. -1. It's also in the description if you want to check that out as well. But we're going to head towards turn 1 here. Normally, I'd say stick on the inside. And everybody does that. And then I'm like, oh, I'll just take a risk here. The the problem you have is what you saw in the distance there, where Gianni got hit on the outside by somebody who just outbrought themselves a little bit. However, we do gain a bit of an advantage here. We're stuck in a 2x2 moment here. This French driver up ahead with a 2-second penalty. And as we come through here, there's some a little bit of carnage there. And then we're sort of stuck here. We just got knocked off a little bit. And then we weren't allowed back on. So I was like forcing myself back on at this point. I was like, all right, let me on, mate. Chill your beans. Flashing lights there. I think they're just on a pad, rather than them flashing me. But yeah, you know, I can't go anywhere. As we see the French driver up ahead with 2.5 seconds of penalties. Now Anthony does a beautiful move here. Gets a couple of positions there. Up into P8. And we're going to continue on now. As you can see, it's a bit frantic this start. You know, a little bit of carnage there. Or contact, should we say, rather than carnage. Because most people have survived this. As we head towards this chicane here. Very dangerous chicane this. To be honest with you. You can see people running a little bit deep. Somebody behind running deep again there. Yeah, just a little bit contacty as we see the French driver's on 2.5 seconds and is about to go up even more to 4.5 seconds. They're trying to break Kelster's record of like a 20-minute penalty here. But we continue on into this left-hander, and I can see what's happening up ahead, so I'm sort of setting myself up for the straight, basically, knowing what's going to happen here. So what I do is I go for the outside line. I'm going to brake really early here, and I'm basically setting myself up for a really good exit out of here, knowing what's happening. And I continue out of there. Through I go. So that's 1 and 2 positions. Happy days. And we fall in line behind Anthony in the cursed position there. And we're going to go into a track, guys. Heading towards turn 1 here. You want to brake after this tarmac bit on the left, but before the light on the right. Now I'm braking early here because it's lap 2 and I'm in slipstream. And I was a bit unsure. And you'll see me lifting off the brakes here. But they're your general markers here. The piece of tarmac and the light. Now, when I talk about brake markers, it was mentioned on the previous video that sometimes I don't brake at them. What do I mean by braking at? They're your goals. They're your targets. So, obviously, I'm doing this at the start of the week. As we head towards this turn, by the way, I'm just going to change the picture over to lap 4 here and show you the marker here. So, on the left-hand side, the barrier goes light grey to dark grey to light grey. Very easy to spot. As it goes to dark grey, that's when you want to brake. But when I talk about references here, they're your target. If you can get as close to them as possible, you're doing very well. Now, sometimes you can't actually, you know, brake at my markers, but use them as a reference. Now, going around here, never use the brake pedal for that fast right-hander there. As I say, always use the throttle and balance the car. Heading towards this left-hander then, you want to use the end of the curb on the left-hand side. But Tidge, you're braking early. I am. I'm on the inside. If I was on the right-hand side, I'd be braking very close in line with that curb. But, you know, we're in a race and we have to give room, as we do, give Anthony plenty of room on the right-hand side here. So we're going to go down 3 wide, going back to 2 wide here. Anthony gets that position back, the cursed position. And heading down towards the dangerous chicane here, what you're going to use is the Dunlop sign. If you use the painted orange marker that I normally use, you're going to brake too late and you're going to go off. You also have to be careful of slipstream here. Please do remember that. Now, coming into here, I actually brake a tiny bit too late here because I'm on the inside. So as he goes for the turn in, I braked just a tiny bit late. I did apologise in chat afterwards for that. It's not the end of the world because the move was made and It's very clear. Leaving the chicane, by the way, stay in second gear. Use the lamppost on the right-hand side there. That's your marker for this one. So it's like a dab of the brake. Now, what I would recommend doing here, by the way, stay in second gear. You're going to see me change to third gear. Don't do it. Stay in second, because notice how I change, and I'm instantly on the brakes for this left-hander. So keep in second gear. Use the end of that curb there, and you're trying to just balance the car as best as you can through this left-hander here. As we go there, you see somebody on the outside there, Spanish driver. Johnny got a penalty for the chicane, I think, maybe cutting it. I'm not too sure. Johnny would be able to respond to that. The final corner here, then, is the orange painted marker on the right-hand side. And as you saw earlier, you can take many lines. You see I'm on a tight line here. Lap 1, I was on the outside line. Many lines to get a good exit out the corner. You see the Spaniard there just goes quite forcefully into the Parat driver there. But continuing out the corner, 2 people with penalties here. Gianni and I think it was a Spaniard up ahead. It was Dom. We go through there and we're into P5. So at least we're not in the cursed position for now. And we've got a race up ahead. As I said, I did apologise to Anthony afterwards for the slight contact. But again, I don't think it was major. And to be fair, there's lots of room on the outside anyway. So yeah, it's we carry on racing here. Again, you notice I brake a little bit early here. Not sure what's going to happen up ahead. So I brake a little bit early to make sure that I'm not going to smash into anybody. As we see a bit of a cutback there from the Spaniard, who keeps that position for now. We're going to look around the outside of this driver here, Parat, and this is very dangerous. I would highly recommend you avoid going on the outside of this corner. So you see I brake early, and I'm waiting for the car to turn in. I just don't want to be there, basically. It's a very dangerous place to be on the outside of that corner. We advance a bit further on then, and entering the chicane. And you see how Parat's just gone a little bit too deep here. So we take full advantage of that. We leave a little bit of space on the inside there, because that will happen. I know some people sometimes complain when somebody's on the inside after they've made a mistake. They have to go somewhere, so just be careful there. If somebody has gone deep, just leave a little bit of a gap there so that they can come back on the circuit. You will still potentially get the position, as I showed here, as the 2 of them are fighting behind me. Now, my goal here, leaving this last corner, is to be in the slipstream of the Spaniard up ahead. So I'm going to go for quite a tight line again. Oh, no, maybe not. I should have gone for a tighter line than that, but there we go. We still get a tighter line than Fursa, and that's my goal here, because now I'm in the slipstream. And what happens then is I maintain the speed all the way down the straight. However, you can see I've got closer through the final lap here. And again, I'm just trying to balance the car. And here, you want to do the opposite to whatever the person in front does. So you see Spaniard goes for a tight line. I'm going to go for a very wide line here to try and get the run out the corner. We get the car turned, put to the floor as best as we can here. And we do have an overrun on the Spaniard. Race is very clean here because you see a lot of people dart to the right very quickly, which causes some blocking and some irritation to people. But you saw my car was there and it allows me to continue on, and we get a podium position. So you know, the race had a lot of contact in it. We get fastest lap as well. Happy days. But yes, there was a bit of contact in there, quite a few penalties, so do be careful of cutting the chicane. You can have some good racing in this, you just have to be careful. But it's one of those again moments really, and that's the reason for the thumbnail. That's it for race A then. Let's head to race B. Welcome to Spa then for race B, and yes, it's another one of those again moments because it's Spa, Group 3, and a very short race distance. Let's have a look at the race details then. We're racing 3 laps here at Spa-Francorchamps. It's a rolling start, which means if you start below P4, you're not winning the race. It's a guaranteed fact unless there's a huge crash, and we are on racing medium tyres. Now, as it's Group 3, I went with the car that I love at Spa in Group 3, the one I won the Content Creators race with, and that's the Audi R8. But as always, with Group 3 and Spa, just bring what you like. Enjoy the racing, where you can have a race, of course. You know, enjoy the car you like driving, because that's the best experience you could probably have with Daily Race B, because the rolling start is atrocious. Let's jump to the race then, and we'll have a look at what happened in the race. Where did I start, of course, as well as a quick track guide and any racing action that followed. Here we are then at the start of the grid. As you see, Supra, Lamborghini, Supra, Audi, Supra Porsche, got a Lexus, got a Volkswagen, a Nissan in there as well. Mixture of all sorts. As I say, bring what you like for this Group 3 race. Always bring what you like for a Group 3 race, really, unless you're on a super long track, speedy track, and then you've got to be a bit more cautious. Look at this for a rolling start then. How stupid is this? Like, look at it. We just get round. So, P5 backwards. Yeah, unlucky. You start a million miles away. You've not really got a chance for the rest of the race. Yeah, very moronic. Anyway, let's start with a track guide then. Heading towards turn 1. I'm always looking to just brake just after the 100-meter board. That's always my goal here. Sometimes you can use some of the road markings, but there's 2 boards there. Use the 100-meter board there, nice and easy. You want to clip the inside and be careful of oversteer on exit. Don't run too wide there. You could end up facing Barry R if you run too wide. We continue up to Rouge and Radion then. This is fairly flat. You might want to lift a little bit in dirty air potentially. As we come through here, I lift a little bit just to make sure I get round, but you can abuse the curb there quite a lot. You have to be on the curb basically. If you're not on the curb, you will get a penalty. It's the way to look at it. We're going to head now towards Les Combes. At Les Combes, we're using our usual brake marker, although I'm going to brake a bit earlier here due to slipstream. However, my goal is, as always, is to brake exactly at that curb. I do that in any Group 3 car. Sometimes you can brake just after it as well. But I dropped to 3rd gear here. That's just for stability. If you need to change gear during this section, the car will become unstable. As you can see, it's a lot of bounce in the throttle and going around the corners. And if you change gears, weight shifts, causes oversteer. You don't really want that. Heading to this right-hander then, you want to brake once again at the curb, maybe even just before if you start running too deep into the corner. A tighter line is a better line, especially if you can release the brakes as best as you can. Notice how I went a little bit too deep, but I bring it back very nicely. And round you go, you bounce the car with the throttle there. Now you want to be turning the car at that flag post point there. Is that what we call it? The flag marker. You should be turning the car at this point. Sometimes you want to dab the brake. You see I dab the brake a little bit there. But once again, I'm trying to bounce the car through that corner as best as I can. The whole of the weight is going towards the front of the car, so it really gets very light there because it's downhill. Into a Pouhon, heading to Pouhon now. Once again, it's a flag marker on the right-hand side. Notice I'm braking just before it, but then my aim is to start turning at it, basically. I want to trail brake as best as I can, let the car roll, and then accelerate as fast as I can through the corner. So obviously, the closer you get to braking at the flag marker, the quicker you're going to get at Spa and at Pouhon. Now, heading towards this right-hander, I'm braking really early here. I'm actually should be aiming for the 50-meter board or the start of the curb. The reason I'm braking early is I was a bit unsure with the dirty air and the slipstream I had off Pouhon, whether I'd actually rear-end Cuju up ahead. But we survived. I just braked at the gantry instead. This right-hander then is the start of the curb. Now, this one is one where you potentially want to brake before the curb more than any of the others. It's quite easy to run too deep here and compromise your exit. Now, this corner is very, very crucial to get right. If you get this right, you can have a run all the way to the bus stop chicane. A little bit of a lift here, but you're sort of maintaining the throttle as much as you can. So when you lift, make sure you're still on it, like 25%. That way the car stays balanced. If you fully lift off, the weight starts shifting a little bit too much. Blanchimon, generally speaking, it'll be a slight lift. It depends where you are. Here, I was right behind Cuju here, so it was a bit more difficult than normal anyway. But a slight lift, and it should help you out. Heading towards the bus stop chicane then, you want to brake just after the 150-meter board here. Just after it, and basically you're going to be dropping all the way down to 1st gear, essentially. You see I go for a move down the inside here. Quite a late move, but it was clean all the same. So now we're looking for the old cutback. And be careful on exit for oversteer. You notice my car got a little bit unsteady. I think the Supra got a little bit of wheel spin there as well. But that is the lap guide here at Spa. So we're going into turn 1 then. The Supra on the inside here. Got to give room, as I do. But quite a long way around the outside there at Lazarus. And it's not going to work out there as the Supra driver maintains that position. So, 3 laps at Spa with the worst rolling start in history. Or stupid rolling start, as we're going with the weekly race guide name here. Notice that I had to lift a little bit there with the dirty air, the slipstream, etc. You can do it perfect without dirty air and flat. But yeah, no, I had to lift it a little bit because of that. The aero was gone, obviously. So we're looking around the outside of Cuju here, and I outbraked myself there. Just outbraked myself too much. I had slipstream there, and I braked after the curb started, and you notice that there. So we've advanced a bit further on now. Lap 3. We're back behind the Finnish driver here. Let's see what we can do. Once again, heading up Eau Rouge and Radion. It's very hard to do this, actually, right behind somebody. And we get it all sorts of wrong there. My Audi oversteers too much. And we're looking far, far away now from the Supra driver. However, we're not cutting away yet. It does mean there's some racing action to come. So the Finnish driver goes very defensive very early here. I wasn't quite sure what's going on here. But I thought, okay, I'm going to nail this corner now. I couldn't see the brake marker, so I just backed out a little bit. But look at this beautiful line through. I was like, right, okay, let's go for it. Let's gun round there. So we go for this move here. We have a look, but I kind of figured that potentially they might not have seen it. So I did back out of it a little bit. And a good job I did, I think, because I think there would have been contact there. As you're up ahead, Gianni clips the outside at Pouhon. Make sure you don't do that. In the Lamborghini. and Spinellar for Gianni there. So let's fast forward a little bit further on here. So we're behind the finished driver now, and once again we'll catch up to Blanchimon. So my goal here is to try and put them offline so I have a good run at the bus stop chicane. Unfortunately, we just get a slight tap there, and it sort of unsettled the car. And yeah, I was a bit frustrated with that because I couldn't really do much then at that point. I was hoping if I'd been left room, it'd have been fine because I wouldn't have gone in the outside of Blanchimon anyway. Way too dangerous to do that. But yeah, it was just one of those where a mistake happened. He apologised after. It's all good. You know, we had some good racing in there, Kuju. But that is going to be it for this week. As you see, very quick race. Not a huge amount of racing action because of the way the rolling start is. It's moronic. It's stupid. But yeah, Daily Race B in a nutshell, really. Let's head to Daily Race C then, which once again is an again moment. We're back at Croatia then for Race C, and as you can see in the background, we're in Group 2 cars. So we did this year, week number 2 it was. Let's have a look at the race details then, first of all. We're racing 13 laps here at Dragon Trail Seaside. A rolling start. You may have to be careful if you're towards the back, just on the last corner there. Racing soft and mediums, both required. That's the only difference to last time because it was medium and hard last time. Fuel usage times 2 and tyre wear times 7. As always with Group 2, the GTR seems to be the go-to car. Some of the other cars can race, to be fair. However, GTR is the go-to car, so that's what I went with, so I could give you a guide. Let's have a look at what happened then, because we meet a German Momoz, apparently, as well as some interesting racing action. Here we are then at the start. GTRs for days. So we do have a Lexus in there. We have 2 Lexus, 3, 4. We have 4 Lexi. I think we call them Lexi, don't we? If they're in there. So the Lexus could be a shout as well. I'll say the GTR is the best. Now we're starting in P14, and we're going to be starting on the last corner. As I say, if you're near the back, you might need to be a little bit careful. You may even want to whack traction control on one just to get around the last corner. If you look in the mirror there, somebody goes a little bit sideways there in Kaleido, but they do recover, and we continue on. We're going to go straight into a lap guide here. Obviously, we have 2 tyre compounds and tyre wear, so we're warming up our tyres. However, the markers are still a reference, so you want to get as close to these as you can. Now, heading towards turn 1, the start of the curb is as close as you want to get, and generally on soft tyres you will get there. Medium tyres, especially at the start of the race, you're going to struggle a little bit, so just be careful there. I stay in 3rd gear. 2nd gear I found a bit too oversteery, whereas 3rd gear was very controllable. So I do recommend you stay in 3rd gear. Now this right-hander, you don't have to lift, but I do here. And heading towards the braking zone, it's the marker I always use here. The grass in between the 2 gravel traps here, the perfect marker. You're aiming potentially at the start of that to make sure you don't go too deep. Again, it depends on your tyre compound and where your tyres are at during the race. Heading up and over the hill then and down towards the S's. Now, on the medium tyre, you do have to brake a little bit here, and you use my normal marker there on the right, left-hand side. It's not the right, it's the left-edge. The orange painted barrier on the left. As I say, you might want to brake a little bit here. On the soft tyre, you do not need to brake. It's just a lift. So just keep that in mind. As we come through here, be careful of dirty air. That was the worst 3rd S I've ever done in my life. Not the worst in this race, though. I don't think it was. Heading down towards the hairpin then, and this one's a tricky one. So you want to brake after the start of the curb on the left. And I was using the hill on the right, if I'm honest, where that tree is. Where the hill starts to curve down, there's a tree there, and that's what I was using. Again, depends on tyre compounds, etc. is what you use. Unfortunately, Cyberman goes to the Shadow Realm. The German Momoz was the cause of that, and you will see why they're the German Momoz shortly. Now, the Chicane of Death, just a little lift will help you through here. You just got to be careful of dirty air, etc. as we overtake somebody there who didn't die at the Chicane of Death, but they were very, 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 very close. Last corner then, I use the start of the curb. Yes, there is a 100-meter board there, so do use that as well, but I use the start of the curb here. I'm braking just before because I'm on medium tyres. But yes, we have the German Momoz up ahead. Now, out this corner, you want to use 2nd gear. 3rd gear, it bogs down a little bit too much. If you are struggling with oversteer, though, use 3rd gear. It is there to help you with traction. As you see, German Momoz, King Russ, purposely punting the Olympian off, which is very rude. You know, I don't think they realise this is the Olympics? The Olympian, Consta, who, you know, is in the Olympic Virtual Motorsports. So Consta going for the run again, and then they come across and start trying to punt Consta again. I don't know, it seems like a moron to me, this driver. Going through here, then I get on the inside, and then they turn into me. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, mate. You're going to get that penalty applied to you soon, and off we go. Now, Kaleido has a good run there, read the situation very nicely, and going to attempt around the outside. Very tricky move to do. However, nails it beautifully in that Lexus. So through Kaleido goes into P11 for now. We're starting on the medium tyre. I've not really talked about strategy yet. In my head, so what I did, I actually went back to look at week number 2 in terms of this race. And in we go into the braking zone. So yeah, I went back to look at week 2, which is when we did this race in 2021. And essentially, I was like, okay, the medium tyres last the whole race. So I was like, the soft tyres won't last the whole race, but they'll be close. Max Power's gone all over the place there. Max Power had a legendary qualifying time. 1 hour on the qualifying time. Absolutely superb. Hope you saw that at the start. As we continue through here then, we've gained that position. But in terms of strategy, I was thinking lap 4. And it turns out that was the case. Now, we went for a move on Consta. We didn't actually mean to go for a move. Consta had a little bit of a bad chicane. And we were catching. So I just showed my nose just so I could see the braking marker as well. Yeah, we just went for it and got it, weirdly. So Consta is behind us at the moment. We are in the slipstream of the car ahead. Consta gives us a little bit of a bumper draft there as we continue on. But we'll be racing smart a little bit later on with Consta. Into the braking zone we go, and as I say, lap 4 was the lap we were going to pick. So you can see it's just status quo at this point. So we'll advance a bit further on then. So heading towards the last corner here, we get this slightly wrong now. Into the braking zone we go. Notice the oversteer when you do drop to second gear. As I was leaving this corner, I did see up ahead someone go in the pits, and I was like, I said, lap 4 in my head, and I come in the pits. Let's find out what that pit loss time is then. It's 15.5 seconds-ish. So, just plan that on your map as you go. But it's 15.5 seconds up until the brake marker here, basically. And in terms of brake marker, by the way, just here's one for you for the pit exit. 100 meter board just before it. On the soft tyre, you can brake and you should make the corner absolutely fine there. So, now use a useful additional brake marker there for you in this video. If you're still watching, of course, as we continue on. So, Consta kept with me all the way through the lap, goes for the move and race smart here. Don't want to waste any time here. Let the Olympian go and fall in behind. Why waste time when we can work together and work our way forward? Consta obviously feels he's the quicker driver. Well, let him go in that situation because why not? Kaleido's in the pits, as is Poloff there. Now, lap 5 or 6 is probably the better lap to come in, actually, on the medium tyres. They're not that bad. The softs struggle at the very end of the stint if you come in on lap 4. So, where I decided lap 4, I actually think lap 5 or 6 for yourselves will be a better race experience for you. So, just keep that in mind. Generally speaking, in terms of strategy, see Poloff go for the move on Toxic there. Doesn't quite work out. Costa goes for the move on Poloff there. That's some good racing. I decided I was just going to stay behind this group and save my tyres a little bit. Because I was concerned that potentially it was a lap too early. But yes, in terms of strategy, the whole idea is to get out of the dirty air and the traffic. So lap 4 was okay for us. We did skip Captain Fast. However, the tyres at the end are going to struggle, and we didn't really want to be in this battle here. If we'd have skipped that battle as well, Poloff and Toxic, then it would have been really good strategy. As you see, 3 wide there into turn 1. They are really going hammer and tongue at each other. You notice how, whoa, I forgot about that. My word, I nearly binned it myself. As we come through here, Poloff backs out of that. See some smart racing going on here. Absolute smart racing in towards the braking zone we go. Consta's actually overtaken Toxic there. They go backwards and forwards for quite a while, and they do actually manage to get past. So I then get stuck behind Toxic for quite a number of laps, actually, and it's mainly the dirty air. My tyres getting slightly worn here. Now, brake balance-wise, as we go for the move down the inside here, which will be the outside for turn 1, but do have a good overrun here in towards the braking zone. We'll leave a little bit of space on the entry there, and then we're going to maintain our speed on the apex, and through we go. Now, yes, in terms of dirty air, it's really hard to overtake here. It really is hard. So, strategy can play a part in this race. Yeah, brake balance, I would go +2. That's what I was also talking about as well. +2 on the brake balance, and you should be golden. But yeah, you can have some good racing here, but it's one of those again moments. It's again, and stupid at race B as well. Absolutely stupid. But even so, that is it for race B. Ollie's stream is there if you want to check that out. That's starting right about now. My logo's there if you want to subscribe to stay in touch. Do give it a like on your way out, of course. And I hope to see you in another video or live stream very soon.